Alright, today's lesson is going to be on MasterCAM Quickpart. For the tech class, we're going to be basically engraving a piece of plastic. So what you're going to want to do is hit the Start button, go to All Programs, MasterCAM Quickpart right here, and then right below it is the program. You're going to launch that. Once you get that, you might have a license agreement you have to hit the checkbox on. But here it is, and just before we start, MasterCAM itself is a $5,000 to $15,000 program for one license. It's basically a program that is used to make parts, but then more specifically, it can make the G-code that CNC machines need to have to make parts. Quickpart is basically kind of an introduction program to MasterCAM, and so you guys are going to get a piece of plastic to engrave just some clip art and text on. So the first screen here, it's kind of asking you, do you want to do contour, engrave? Just leave it at contour, leave it at advanced, and we have a techno mill, so this is how it should look. You want to give it a name, so just give it a name, and once you got a name on there, go ahead and get the green checkbox, and you should be pausing this video and doing it as I explain everything. Next is what kind of material. So we're going to be using plastic, so if you click this little icon here, acrylic is what we're going to have, so I'll do acrylic right there, and these are some examples of things you can do with acrylic. Check out some of the other things you can do with aluminum, brass, wax, but make sure this says plastic, and that's going to determine something called our feeds and speeds. As far as the stock margin, this is pretty important right here for safety, not having an accident with the machine. Make it be 1/4 of an inch, and if you scroll down here to custom rectangle, make sure you know what size we're using. Currently we're using stock that's 9 inches long by 3 inches wide, but sometimes we use material that's just 2 inches in this direction. It's a 1/4 inch thick, so it's 9 wide, 3 deep, 1/4 inch thick. Green checkbox. Don't mess with this screen. This is the origin for the XY axis, and all CNC machines don't have eyes, and we have to tell them where to start, and so don't change this, just leave it lower left corner, the recommended one. So I'll go on to the next screen. It's asking what kind of tool do you want to do this. You basically want a V engraving tool. Kind of looks like this. So we hit the select icon here. It might be that you have to move this so you can see it all. But this first one that says engrave tool, 0.125 is perfect. So I hit the green checkbox there, green checkbox there. Do you want to have a border? It's up to you. There's different borders. I'll just go ahead and do this one. To place it, you want to hit this arrow. If you want to do a grid, it kind of helps. When you hit the arrow, you leave that screen and you get to this screen here. And notice right up here it says U for up, D for down. And to scale it, you hold the B and do plus minus. So mirrors on there as well. So I'll do U. Get that. Make sure it's within the red line, and then I'll do a B. And then you can scale it horizontally, so if you hold the N and do plus, so I'm holding the N while hitting the plus. So just basically get it how you want. You don't have to have one of these. Once I hit the left mouse button though, it's placed. If you're done with doing that kind of stuff, great. If you want to erase it, you can just hit the delete and then click it. So next screen is clip art. You don't have to have any clip art, but if you want to, these are categories, and then these are all the things inside of it. So I'm going to go ahead and go back, and I'm going to go ahead and delete what I just did. Go over here, and some clip art takes a lot longer than others, and we want as many students to get through this as possible. So for example, if you click a tree like this, it might take 10 minutes to engrave. So just try to be conscious of picking clip art that's not going to take too long. Anyways, I'll hit the place button here, and again, to go up, I'm going to look up here of how to mirror it, things like that. So I'll do to scale up and down is going to be the U button. So I'll do this, left click. If I want to do a mirror, I'll press the H key, and I can do hold the U button again. And again, you can delete it if you don't like it, place in other stuff. The grid might help you, it's up to you. The next screen is text. You should have some text on this project. Some people do quotes, happy birthday or happy Mother's Day, you know, a sign for your room, whatever you want. Just make sure it's appropriate. So I'll hit add text, and then down here you can type in the text that you want to do. So I'll type in just test, and there's different fonts you can use. I'll do an example here where I'll hold the U key to make it bigger, left click. I'll do more text. This time I'll pick like a true type font, so you can just see the difference. So here's something like this. And so again, this font in the bottom is going to take a lot longer to engrave, probably 10 times as long, but it's up to you. Again, you can delete text, you can use the grid. When you got it how you want, just hit the green checkbox. Mirroring. Mirroring is really cool if you have clear plastic or translucent plastic, but we most likely don't have that, so I would not mirror it. Just next screen. Chaining, basically, you're telling the computer what you want to engrave. So when you hit this icon, it's best just to left click kind of up here, and then hold your mouse button down and drag a window. So I held my left mouse button, and then I released it, and then click it again, and it's done. This here is kind of controlling the CNC machine. What really matters is right here. How deep do you want to go? Negative 0.02. That's a good number to do for this. It'll just kind of skim the surface. So everyone should do negative 0.02 unless something special is going on. The feed rates, this is plunge rate, spindle, it's all determined by the fact that we pick plastic and kind of how our machine works, which is kind of set by me. Okay, depth cuts. Depth cuts is a good thing. It'll basically, as you can see here, it'll go a little bit, second pass, more, third pass, all the way. So I'll do 2 depth cuts. I'll make it nice and clean. Green checkbox. Run verification. This is pretty cool. I'm going to hit the play button right here, and you basically can make sure it's turning out the way you want. It's kind of a dry run, a virtual run. Looks good. A green checkbox. Green checkbox again. And finally, you should read this stuff here, but we're going to basically produce this program. This is why you pay the big bucks for this program, is that it can produce the G-code. So when I click this here, it does a lot of calculations, and basically it takes all of these lines of code to make this part. And a big reason is because with a curve, it has to know every single point along this curve where to move the machine. So the more curves you have, whereas if you just had a triangle, that was your only thing, you'd probably have 3 lines of code. But if you have lots of curves, it's going to be a lot of code. So once you do this, it should be saved. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the, we don't really need a setup sheet. Hit the green checkbox, and green checkbox again, and it's exited out, and you now should have a file that is going to end in .nc. And so now you're going to head into the metal shop. You're going to log onto the computer next to our CNC machine, and you're going to start a video there off my website that will basically explain how to set up the machine.